I am Dr. Shanta Govind, Professor and Head, Department of Agriculture Extension, Faculty of Agriculture, Annamalai University. So today we are going to see about the meaning and definition of teaching and learning. For the whole subject matter of extension education, as a teacher as well as an extension worker, one need to know about the meaning and definition of teaching and learning. Only after gaining an understanding of the definition and meaning of teaching and learning, one can be fully motivated to teach the learners. The specific objective of this lesson is one will be able to gain position to understand or to know about the meaning and definition of teaching and learning, and the student will be able to understand the concept of extension education process and teaching approaches. A learner will be able to know the basic characteristics of learners in extension, and he will be able to understand the factors affecting learning. So first we will look into the definition of teaching. According to H.C. Morrison 1934, teaching is an intimate contact between a more mature personality and a less mature one, which is designed to further the education of the latter. According to N.L. Gaggi 1962, stated that teaching is a form of interpersonal influence aimed at changing the behavior potential of another person. Edmund Amidon 1967, he defined teaching as an interactive process primarily involving classroom talk which takes place between teacher and pupil and occurs during certain definable activities. B.O. Smith 1969 defined teaching as a system of actions involving an agent, an end in view, and a situation including two sets of factors, those over which the agent has no control, for example class size of classroom, physical characteristics of people, etc., and those that he can modify, that is ways of asking questions or ideas learnt. Greens 1971 defined that teaching is a task of the teacher which is performed for the development of a child. Again, according to Farrant 1980, teaching is the process that facilitates learning. The teacher has an important role to play because he acts as a catalyst, actively stimulating learning. Teaching has been defined by Wells G. 1982 as cluster of activities that are noted about teachers, such as explaining, deducing, questioning, motivating, taking attendance, keeping record of works, students' progress, and students' background information. So teaching as a whole, we can say it is a process of arranging situations in which the things to be learnt are brought to the notice of the learners, the interest is developed and desire aroused, that is, they are stimulated for action. For example, if we teach the farmers about the use and advantages of chemical fertilizers, we do this by conducting demonstrations in the fields. We show them how the fertilizers are applied. We compare the yield of the fertilized crop with that of the crop in which fertilizers have been applied. The farmer sees the positive effect of fertilizers. After this, he is convinced. He is motivated to act. He starts using fertilizers regularly. Next, we will see the concept of extension teaching. So teaching is the process of arranging situations that stimulate and guide learning activities towards some goal that specify desired changes in the behavior of people. Extension teaching is a process in which situations are so arranged as to stimulate and guide learning activities towards achieving some specified desired behavioral changes in individuals. This involves getting the attention of the learners, developing the interest, arousing the desires, and promoting action. Teaching always leads to learning. Good extension teaching is the successful creation of opportunities or situations in which people learn successfully to meet their needs and interests. This leads to continuous improvement and self-actualization. In this way, teaching is closely associated with learning. Extension workers are continuously trying to bring about changes in the behavior of farmers and their families. They want farmers to discontinue the ancient methods of land preparation and follow new techniques. They are trying to demonstrate farmers the advantages of improved hybrid seeds, integrated nutrient management practices, integrated pest management practices, and with the profits that follow their use to spend more and provide better food for their families, better clothes, better housing and happier living. This is the teaching in the truest sense. So next we will see the procedure for effective teaching in extension work. So extension work requires a specific type of teaching. So let us see what are the points to be considered in teaching extension work. So first of all, ensure visibility for all. That is, arrangements of exhibits and other materials such as chairs should not obstruct the participants' view. Participants should clearly see what is being taught. Number 2, speakers should speak clearly. Adults can understand spoken words better than the written words. Talk with the people or even at the people. Next, start with the current needs and problems of the farmers. So presentation should be in logical sequence. One idea or one theme at a time. One sentence is ideal. Use practical devices to show the relationship between ideas. Repeat ideas being presented. Make physical environment comfortable. So only and unless you make a proper physical environment, the learners will not be able to learn effectively. At the end, summarize your presentation. Next, we will see the nature and characteristics of teaching. So teaching is a process that provides guidance and training. Teaching and interaction between teacher and learner. So one cannot force anyone's idea into the learners unless they interact. Teaching is an art to give knowledge to learners in an effective way. So teaching is a science to educate facts and causes of different issues of different subjects. So teaching is a continuous process. So there is no end to teaching, it is a continuous process. Suppose if we teach a technology today to a farmer, then again the same technology will be refined. So teaching has to be continuously take place in the particular technology which we have taught earlier. If the teacher has full confidence on the subject, he can teach better. Teaching encourages learners to learn more and more. Teaching is formal as well as informal. So in the formal we say that all the extension work comes under formal type of education, whereas education given within 4 walls like schools and colleges come under informal school of education. So teaching is communication of information to learners. In teaching, teacher delivers information in an interesting way so that learners can easily understand the information. So teaching is a tool to help learners to adjust themselves in society and its environment. So there are various teaching approaches, but we will see the important teaching approaches that will be helpful for your teaching process. So what is the meaning of teaching approach? It is a set of principles, beliefs or ideas about the nature of learning which is translated into the classrooms. So now we will see a certain list of teaching approaches. The first one is teacher centered approach. So here the teacher is considered to be the only reliable source of information. This approach is contrast to the learner centered approach. The next approach, namely learner centered approach, the teacher should understand that learner too knows something. Hence, he or she is capable of sharing something. So the learner is also considered as an important resource of information. And the third approach is the subject matter centered approach. Here the subject matter gains primacy over that of the learner. The next approach is the teacher dominated approach. In this approach, only the teacher's voice is heard. He is the sole dispenser of information and he dominates the subject matter as well as the subjects. Next approach is the interactive approach. As the name goes, there is always interaction between the learner and the teachers. The learner can interact with the teacher and also with other learners. Next approach is constructivist approach. Here the students are expected to construct knowledge and meaningful out for what they are taught by connecting them to the prior experience. In extension education, especially in extension education, we have to consider the past experience and wisdom of the clients. So because always the learners will have more experience than the teachers. Ranking approach. According to this approach, the learners' minds are empty. The teacher deposits knowledge into the empty minds of learners to commit to memory. Next approach is integrated approach. This approach makes the teacher to connect what he teaches to other lessons of the same subject. So as the name goes, the teacher while teaching, he relates the subject matter with other subjects so that it will be easy for the teacher or for the learner to learn things much easier. So it is also known as multidisciplinary approach. Disciplinal approach. It limits the teacher to discussing his or her lessons within the boundary of his subject. Next is the collaborative approach. It welcomes any group approach like group work, teamwork, partnerships and group discussions. So collaborative approaches works well with the technologies transferred much earlier. Next is the individualistic approach. It expects the individual learners to work by themselves. Next approach is direct teaching approach. Here the teacher directly tells or shows or demonstrates what is being taught. Indirect guided approach. The teacher just guides the learner, only the learner discovers things for himself or herself. Here the teacher's role is to facilitate the learners and he allows the learner to be engaged in learning without much guidance. So far I have listed the major teaching approaches. Now we will see the other teaching approaches. The other teaching approaches are research based approach. Here the teaching and learning are based on research findings. Next is the whole child approach. The learning process considers not only the academic needs of the learners, it also considers the emotional, creative, psychological, spiritual and development needs. Next is the metacognitive approach. The teaching process brings the learner to the process of thinking about thinking. The learner reflects on what he has learned and on his or her ways of learning. So next approach is known as problem-based approach. The teaching learning process is focused on problems. Time is spent on analyzing and solving problems. This is known as problem-based approach. So this problem-based approach will be much useful in extension education, wherein the clients will be facing much problems in the field situations. So next we will see about the definition and meaning of learning. So here again I will give a most important definition stated by some authors, important authors. So first of all we will see the definition put forth by Wordsworth 1945. He stated learning as any activity can be called as learning so far it develops the individual and makes him alter his behavior and experiences different from what that would otherwise have been. As given by Kingsley and Gary 1957, he defined that learning is the process by which behavior is organized or changed through practice or training. As according to Henry Smith 1962, learning is the acquisition of new behavior or the strengthening or weakening of old behavior as a result of experience. Robinson and Horrock 1967 defined that learning is an episode in which a motivated individual attempts to adopt his behavior so as to succeed in a situation which he perceives as requiring action to attain a goal. So this is goal seeking behavior. As put forth by Gardner Murphy 1968, learning covers every modification in behavior to meet the environment requirement. According to Crow and Crow 1973, learning is the acquisition of habits, knowledge and attitude. It involves new ways of doing things and it operates in an individual's attempts to overcome obstacles or to adjust to new situation. It represents progressive changes in behavior. It enables one to satisfy his interest to attain goals. According to Hilgard 1973, learning is the process by which an activity originates or is changed through reacting to an encountered situation, provided that the characteristics of the change in activity cannot be explained on the basis of native response tendencies, maturation, or interest to attain goals. According to Williams et al. 1984, learning is a process by which an individual through its own activities becomes changed in his behavior. Behavior in the sense he may change in terms of knowledge or attitude or skill. Learning is essentially a response to a teaching situation. The learner is no longer regarded as a passive agent but an active participant in his own education. Abdullahi 2002 defined learning situation as one in which all elements necessary to promote learning are present. So, the essential elements for learning situations are here: instructor, that is the teacher, the learners, subject matter, learning materials and physical facilities. In psychology and education, learning is commonly defined as a process that brings together cognitive, emotional and environmental influences and experiences for acquiring, enhancing or making changes in one's knowledge, skills, values and views. Amisa et al. 2009 defines learning as a relative enduring change in behavior or experience. So, these are the definitions of learning. Next, we will see the concept of learning. So, learning is a process by which one becomes changed in his behavior, skills, understanding, interest and appreciation as a result of his experience. So, learning is not just a filling up process. The learner has to be active to acquire knowledge, skills, attitude which satisfied his or her needs and interest. So, learning is a personal matter in terms of learner's needs. No individual can learn for others because learning takes place within the person. So, somebody cannot trust learning upon him. So, only when the person is determined to learn, he can learn things. There are two types of learning, namely incidental and deliberate learning. Incidental learning is the learning that occurs when learning takes place without anybody's effort. Deliberate learning occurs as a result of purposeful effort or experience, that is, it results from some motivated efforts. The learner directs his learning along a defined, planned manner. Learning experience is a mental or physical reaction. The learner makes his reaction through seeing, learning or doing the things to be learnt. He gains the meaning and understanding of the materials to be learnt only through his reaction. So, we can say that we cannot make the horse to feed. We cannot make the horse to take the feed. Only we can give the feed to the horse. So, it is like that. How much our efforts is being to promote learning, it is within the learners to learn by himself. Next, as a teacher, one should know the various types of learning. What are the various types of learning? So, first is the perceptual learning. So, it is the ability to learn to recognize stimuli that have been seen before. So, the primary function of perceptual learning is to identify and categorize objects and situations. This learning changes within the sensory systems of the brain. This is one type of learning. Next type of learning is the stimulus response learning. It is the ability to learn to perform a particular behavior when a certain stimulus is present. For example, establishments of connection between sensory systems and motor systems. So, under this we have the classical conditioning. Here there is association between two stimuli under classical conditioning. Another type is unconditional stimulus. Unconditional response leads to conditional stimulus and conditional stimulus leads to conditional response. Next type of learning is the Hebb rule. If a synapse repeatedly becomes active at about the same time that the postsynaptic neuron fires, changes will take place in the structure or chemistry of the synapse that will strengthen it. Next type of learning is the instrumental conditioning. So, association between a response and stimulus allows an organism to adjust its behavior according to the consequences of that behavior. So, in this type of learning we can use the reinforcement. So, reinforcement can be positive or negative, and the negative reinforcement may be punishment. Next type of learning is motor learning. So, changes takes place within the motor system that are established. Next, fourth type of learning is the relational learning. It involves connection between different areas of the association cortex. Fifth type of learning is the spatial learning. So it involves learning about the relations among many stimuli. And the sixth one is episodic learning. It is the remembering of sequences of events that we witness. So a person may be good in remembering, and a person will remember a thing according to the steps or logical manner in which he has evidence. And the next one is the observational learning. This is the learning by watching and imitation of other people. And the eighth one is the attitude learning. It is an emotionalized system of ideas. This learning predisposes a learner to act in a certain way under certain conditions. And the ninth type of learning is the problem solving method. The progress towards the goal is blocked by some obstacles. When there is no ready-made solution, the learner develops some solution to overcome the obstacle. This is known as problem solving type of learning. So next we will see how we learn in extension. So extension is a totally different process. Teaching the farmers or the clients is a totally different process. So teaching in extension, we cannot follow the same steps as we do in colleges or schools. So mostly the farmers are old farmers, they have more experience than that of the extension workers. The farmers' experience is more when compared to the extension workers or the instructors. So the farmers here mainly learn through the senses. So they learn through the 6 senses, namely this sight, sound, touch, taste, smell and lateral thinking. We say a learner changes his behavior only through his own activities. These activities involve using one or more of the 6 senses for a specific purpose. So there are 7 major ways by which learning takes place among the farmers or any clients. Number 1 is conditioning. So learning takes place through the connection between a stimulus and a response. Number 2, trial and error. While facing a problem, any individual discovers a solution by trial and error. This procedure will take a long time, so more time will be wasted. It is also inefficient and unsuccessful efforts as possible. So now I am talking about the learning methods that can be used by the extension workers. Previously I was discussing about general learning methods. The next method is problem solving. So every learning process ends in a product. When faced with a problem, an individual uses the product of the previous learning experience. Using this product of the previous learning experience, it is known as problem solving method. So it involves mainly 3 activities, namely reasoning, concept formation and testing a hypothesis. This method is very useful for extension teaching. The problem solving method is very useful for extension teaching because farmers have much experience compared to the extension workers. They have much wisdom, they have more experience. So based upon the experience, many farmers also have come up with they work as scientists and come up with many new approaches in problem solving. The fourth one is training. Training is almost similar to conditioning. It is especially useful in skills, habits and attitude development. During training, rewards and punishments are used for success and failure. Fifth type of learning in extension work is insight learning. Finding out a solution as a flash is insight learning. There is a feeling of relief, but the disadvantage is learner does not complete understanding about how the solution works. Sixth one is imitation. Imitation is copying and following a pattern of behavior. Here much reasoning is not needed. Opinions and beliefs expressed by leaders and books are accepted and adopted quickly by people. Next one is memorization. Attempt to commit everything under focus to memory verbatim. But this is the learning without understanding. So far we have seen about the major types of learning which could be useful in extension work. Next we will see about transfer of learning in extension. How learning takes place in extension. An idea in one situation has to be used in another situation also. Then transfer of learning takes place. When an extension worker teaches an idea on the farm of a farmer, the learning situation is not the same situation as that of the farmer of another farmer. Hence, an extension worker is concerned with the transfer of learning. So, learning should not be the compartmentalization of learned matter. The transfer may be knowledge, skill, ideas and attitude from one situation to another. Transfer of learning depends upon the number of components in the two situations. The degree of generalizations can be achieved for deriving principles that can be applied to various situations. The transfer of learning also depends upon the mental capacity of the learner. So, as I told you, the mental capacity of the learners are also different in extension work. So, one has to keep in mind the ability of the farmers to learn. So, in extension work, how we could achieve the transfer of learning. So, let us see how it could be done. So, first encourage the learners to look for similarities in various situations. Encourage the learners to apply the ideas in other similar situations. Don't tell the principles to the farmers. Instead of that, encourage the learners to generate principles personally. Allow them to discuss similarities and principles. So, what it says is, don't be a dictator. We have to give some freedom to the farmers. Next, discourage the memorization of content in the learning process by the learner. Encourage them to understand and apply the ideas. So, as I told you, we have to apply different approach while teaching in extension work. So, first of all, we should know the characteristics of learning in extension. So, these characteristics when examined will be helpful for planning and executing extension approach programs. So, first one is learning is meaningful. So, only when the farmers feel that learning will be useful to them, they will learn. So, learning should make the learners to solve their related problems. This is possible only when he relates new knowledge to the existing knowledge. That is, there should be a connection between known and unknown concepts. Number 2, when more number of senses is used by the learners or farmers, learning is facilitated and highly effective. For this, we have to use a number of learning activities must be available, and a number of extension teaching methods should be used. Number 3, force does not help much in learning process. See, just like classroom situation or formal learning, we can't compel the farmers to learn. So, when the learner realizes that learning goals are not forced on him, learning is more effective. When the learner participates actively in the learning process, the learning is highly effective. Learning is affected by physical and social environments. The general physical environment should be suitable to the kind of learning taking place and to the activities selected for the learning situation. So, the physical situation I mean here is the aeration, lighting and all other facilities. The extension worker should recognize and use the effect of the social environment on learning. And learning is growth like and continuous. In a formal program, we teach the students in colleges and schools with a specific syllabus, but it is not so with the extension work. The syllabus is not fixed one. It is education. Learning is a continuous one. Suppose a farmer faces one problem today, he may face some other problem tomorrow. So, learning is a continuous one. So, new knowledge should be built on the old learning. So, learning is cumulative and gradual, and it is a lifelong activity in the extension educational process. So, as an extension workers, one should have idea about the factors affecting learning. So, what factors should be considered and what are the factors affecting the subject matter or subjects. So, let us see some of the factors affecting the learning. There are several factors which will influence learning. Number 1 is motivation. So, motivation influences learning. It may be in the form of reward or punishment, desire to learn, intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation includes hunger and other outside factors. So, intrinsic motivation includes some factors like learning tasks, long-term goals, stress and group participation. And the other factor influencing learning is the characteristics of the materials to be learned. The amount of material to be learned should be within the memory span of the learner. See, farmers they do not belong to the same age group. some may be young, some may be middle aged, and some may be old age. All the farmers cannot learn the subject matter given within the given span of time. So one should the extension workers should consider all these factors, because we cannot teach farmers for hours together. So farmers, the time limit should be considered for teaching the farmers. Also the familiarity and the meaningfulness of the material also affect the learning. So as I told earlier, efficient conditions of the practice also is an important factor. These include knowledge of results, distributed versus massed practice, that is short well placed learning periods versus long concentrated learning periods, whole learning versus part learning, guidance as an aid to learning, special learning aids such as films, visual aids, television, etc. Next point in learning is the learning under special conditions. So studies show that there is no learning during sleep. So this is evident. This is an also important factor which holds good for both the formal learning and informal learning. So it is evident proofs that learning will not take place while sleeping or taking drugs. So comfort is an important factor to be considered while learning. As I told you, one of the physical facilities is an essential factor for effective learning to take place. So the learner should be provided with proper comfort without any much noise or distraction. Emotional problems. So emotions always decrease the efficiency of learning. Tiredness brings in discomfort, it reduces efficiency. And monotony of presentation. Monotonous nature of the teaching also reduces the level of attention, interest and attitude of learning. And to conclude, we can say that extension teaching is a process in which situations are so arranged so as to stimulate and guide learning activities towards achieving some specified goal. That is very important. So good extension teaching is a successful creation of opportunities or situation in which people learn successfully to meet their needs and interests.